Hello, everyone. My name is Alvin Austin, and
Oh,
I am the treasurer to the San Bernardo Park Association Block Club. I know it's kind of strange for you guys uh, to come to the meeting this month and not see our president here, but she's taken a well-deserved vacation, and I'm quite sure wherever she's at, she's going to be monitoring. She's she's here. She's present in spirit. Uh, I'd like to welcome you, everyone, to the meeting. This is our political forum community meeting, of which we're going to have some of our political candidates for the House, State House Representative that's going to join us. There's going to be a format set up for that. We're going to have a moderator for that. But before we get into that, I just want to go over a few announcements. Of course, most of you are familiar with for those of you who may not be familiar, our boundaries are Greenfield is 7 mile to James Cousin to 7 mile again, and back to Greenfield. Those are our boundaries. We consider ourselves, we're about 715 or so parcels out there, and we're working as a community, welcoming people into our community, encouraging people to work together for the betterment of our community. If you're not familiar with any of the email blasts that are going out there on a regular basis, we would like to encourage you to sign up for that and get into the flow and stay updated with all the current events and all the many things that are taking place. Also, on the next slide that's coming up at Kim, I'd like to encourage you guys to get acquainted with all the many churches that are within our boundaries. And if you'd like to do that, you could just scan that QR code. If you're not familiar with the churches, there's a list of all those community churches within our community, and you can take a tour of them. There's some pretty interesting churches in our community, and they will welcome your attendance in their meeting. Okay, the format of this particular meeting and agenda, it's on the screen. It's going to be it's going to go pretty much with the announcements that it's going to go with the format which we're going to have a moderator. Miss Maia Anthony is going to be our moderator for the meeting. We're going to have on our agenda right there, we have 4 political candidates. Ms. Christine Bellin, Kevin Keys, Eric Love, and Regina Wise. And there's going to establish format in which Maia will introduce us to. I'd like to encourage you to, as treasurer, I'd like to point out the fact that our dues are due on January 1st, and our membership fees, both membership and residential fees, the dues are annually from January 1st to December 31st. If you have not paid the dues this year, we'd like to encourage you to do so. And for those of you who have paid your dues, I'd like to encourage you to talk to your neighbors and let them know what we're doing out here within the community, and tell them that we welcome their support. In addition to it, we would like to make a request for their participation in there. The money is welcome, but participation within our community is what we need to grow our community, to make it better for all those involved. Okay, to pay your annual dues, you can pay it via Cash App this year. That QR code is on the screen. You can just scan that QR code on the screen, or you can scan it if you're a recipient of our newsletter. It's also included in our newsletter. Also, you can pay by cash to your block captains if you're familiar with your captains, and you can also pay by a check or a Zelle. We welcome any form of payment because we certainly can use that support in terms of monetary dollars so that we can increase the things that we do within our community. Also, I'd like to bring to your attention, if you're not already aware of the fact that we've gone to a weekly trash pickup for trash, bulk, yard waste, and recycle bins. There are some restrictions up there, of course, but they're going to pick up well, the restrictions are right in front of you. Whereas before they weren't picking up any construction things, they'll pick up tile work, drywall, and everything, but only if they're confined, they're tied in bags, and they're tied up security. Drywall, if they're tied up in bags, so that and the weight can't be any more than 50 pounds. If you throw out bulk out there that exceeds those things, it will not be picked up. And if any accumulation of that, of course, it will be reported to the city, and then the city will send out a contractor out there to pick it up at your expense, at the owner's expense. But we'd like to encourage people to utilize that now. It's a great benefit that has come back to us right now, and I know I'm guilty of it, letting things accumulate on a basis right there to where I on occasion have had to hire a dumpster, and load up the dumpster. But now, strategically now I can load the stuff out and put it out there on a weekly basis, and I don't have to have that accumulation. It's a tremendous benefit for us now, and that's something I think all of us within the community should take advantage of that. Our schedule is going to be pretty tight this time right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the meeting over to Ms. Maia Anthony, who's going to be our moderator, and she's going to tell you, review the format of the meeting. She's going to make all the introductions of all the candidates, and then she will give you the rules of engagement for all of those who are going to be speaking to us today. So without any further ado, Maia, please come in, and the meeting, I'll turn the meeting over to you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Alston. I appreciate that introduction, and good evening and welcome to tonight's forum to everyone. My name is Maia Anthony. I am the Regional Organizing Director at For Our Future Michigan, also known as FOF. FOF is an organization that is committed to talking with Michiganders and Detroiters, especially about the importance of voting and voting in support of progressive grassroots leadership and causes, preserving our environmental infrastructure, addressing racial equity issues, and so much more that is essential to many voices who go unheard. In addition to this work, I wear many other hats, one of which is also chair of the Detroit branch NAACP Health and Wellness Committee. I am also a proud member of the San Bernardo Park Association, as this is my community. So I would like to thank Ms. Bridget Bowman, our association president, for inviting me to moderate tonight's event. If you're looking to volunteer, please contact SBPA and find out how. You can also contact me if you're looking to canvass or phone bank for your community. Most importantly, we encourage you to vote, whether it's via absentee at the polls on election day, early voting via poll sites throughout Metro Detroit, or at a drop box near you. Our primary election is August 6th. The last day to register in any manner other than in person for the August primary is Monday, July 22nd. Our general election is November 5th, and the last day to register in any manner other than in person for our November general election is Monday, October 21st. And of course, you can register in person at any time up to 8 p.m. on election day. We need you. And we thank you again for taking a moment to be here tonight to hear from our District 5 Michigan House of Representatives candidates. All the candidates have been invited. However, not all are here tonight. For the candidates who remain committed, each one will be given, they'll be invited to give their opening remarks of no more than 1 minute each. They will be timed, and will be cut off if they go over, not by me, but by our timekeepers. After the opening remarks, there will be a question session for our candidates, which consists of 90 seconds per candidate. We will also rotate each one so that we can be allowed to answer in no specific order. Again, this will be timed. There is no rebuttal, but if they decide to rebuttal under another question that I ask, that's fine. But they will only have 90 seconds to rebuttal and also answer that next question. Let's begin and start with candidate Crystal Bailey. Ms. Bailey, welcome. You have 1 minute for your opening statement.
Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you, San Bernardo. Thank you for taking the time, Ms. Anthony, to be the moderator. Yes, I am your candidate, Crystal Bailey, for State Representative of District 5. I'm a single mother, a homeowner, and an entrepreneur of nearly 20 years. I attended Henry Ford High School and graduated from Oak Park High School. I served on the Oak Park School Board as Vice President in 2018 when I was elected, and I built a comprehensive strategic plan in partnership with the stakeholders of the community. George Floyd was murdered in May of 2020 when merely 60 days in into declaring a global pandemic, and I spearheaded an ad hoc committee for diversity, equity, and inclusion. I am running for state representative because I know the district, I understand the boundaries of the district, and I'm willing to serve my community, and I understand what the community needs. And my roots run deep throughout this entire District 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. Next, we will hear an opening statement from Mr. Kevin Keys III.
All right, can everyone hear me? Good evening, everyone. I am Kevin Keys III, and I am deeply honored to be here with you today at the San Bernardo Park Association Candidate Forum. I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, and I've always been profoundly connected to this community. I'm a proud graduate of the Oak Park School District, and now I am privileged to serve as a teacher at my old elementary school in the Oak Park School District, shaping the minds of the next generation. I hold a degree in political science from Miles College in Fairfield, Alabama, where I completed in just 2.5 years at the age of 20. Currently, I'm in my last semester at Texas Southern University, working towards my Master's of Education in Educational Administration with a concentration in higher education and human resources. My journey has been fueled by a passion for education, community advocacy, and my commitment to bettering the future for all the residents in District 5. Voting is one of the most important tools that we have to affect change in our community, and it's essential that we exercise our right to vote to ensure our voices are heard and our needs are met. Your vote is your voice to shaping the future of our district. It is crucial that we participate in the democratic process. I am Kevin Keys, and I'm your candidate for State Representative of District 5. I relinquish the floor.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Keys. We will hear from our third candidate, Mr. Eric Love.
Good evening, San Bernardo. Thank you for having me. I am Eric Love, a proud member of this community and candidate for Michigan House Representative with a background shaped by overcoming poverty and homelessness. I've dedicated my life to serving others as Oak Park Economic Board member, currently studying to become a licensed therapist, faith leader, and founder of Covenant of Love Ministries International. I've seen firsthand the struggles our residents faces. I'm committed to securing fair funding for public education, making colleges accessible and affordable, and lowering property taxes through relief programs. I'll fight for expanding home ownership opportunities, equitable rental housing, and a minimum wage that reflects the true cost of living. I like to address gun control and mental health support. We need common sense gun laws to keep our community safe and increase funding for mental health services to support those struggling. As someone
That's time, Eric.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Eric Love. And last but not least, we will hear from Miss Regina Weiss. And I hope I said your last name correctly.
You said it perfectly. Well done. Hello, good evening, everyone. I am Regina Weiss. I am a current state representative running for re-election in House District 5. I'm currently serving in my second term, running for my third term. So I was first elected in 2020 to serve in the state house. I have served in the minority and now currently am serving in the Democratic majority, our first Democratic trifecta in over 40 years. I am a mom to twin 20-month boys, which many of you have probably met on the walks. I also am a former Detroit Public Schools teacher and a former Oak Park City Council member. And so investing in public education, investing in our local communities is deeply personal and deeply important to me. Through my tenure, I have been able to vote on critical legislation and push forward critical legislation to improve our state, including securing more than $94.4 million to support literacy in the city of Detroit. Through my role as chair of school aid on the school aid budget, the K-12 committee, and also record funding to address equity needs in our budget for schools and school aid, as well as education, mental health needs, and student safety needs. I am also proud to have been the
That's
lead.
time.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Let us open up the floor for our first question. And this is for anyone to jump in, and we would like to hear from all our candidates. In getting to know our candidates, some folks who either work or live around this M10 district would say that they've never met nor even heard of some of you. No business visits, no door knocks. Some may be watching this right now wondering who you are. How do you convince a voter, resident, business owner that you deserve their vote when they haven't even heard of you until it's time to vote?
So I can jump in here to start. And I will just say that one of the things that I tried to prioritize in this campaign is turning out for the San Bernardo walks, making sure that folks who are coming out for those got a chance and opportunity to meet myself. And I also have made an effort to introduce myself to some of the local businesses. I've spent a lot of time in the new coffee shop over on the lodge and have really grown to appreciate a lot of the wonderful businesses that there are in the community. We also are out on the doors. We're sending mail to residents. We're calling residents. We are doing everything we can to try to get the word out and make sure people that know about me and know about my candidacy.
Thank you. Anyone?
All right. Okay, so I will go. First and foremost, I would feel like this is more of a reintroduction to the city of Detroit since I've been back. Before I left, I was doing a lot of service, a lot of like partnerships with the community. I grew up in this community. I was a product of the Oak Park School District. I was part of the Detroit Braves, which was actually a baseball team that was actually centered in this district. So it was a lot of stuff that I was actively doing. I was an activist in this community, and I still am. And I'm actually doing a lot with the youth, the community, youth engagement. I'm a district step coach. A lot of people have met me before, but for those who have not, I like to say that if you dare to think outside the box, you see that I am the candidate for this role. I studied politics. I'm big on politics. I'm big on the engagement in, for the person who actually was talking, I'm Kevin Keys III. I'm very young, I'm innovative, and I'm thinking about, how we can actually bring new ideas to the table. So I definitely would love to reach out for those who have not, feel like they have not met me. They can definitely reach out, and I would love to sit down and meet with any and everybody that I can. I relinquish the floor.
Hello,
Thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
All right. Well, my name is Eric Love. And well, I was asked that question before. Well, me personally, I do reach out. I do go door to door. I can't knock on everybody's door. We do, me and my organization, the church, we give out food. We give out backpacks. We do for our community, whether it's Oak Park or Detroit. I would say we do more for Detroit than even Oak Park. Me and my wife, we get out on our own just to intermingle with the community. Maybe some of you have missed me, but me and my wife, we do go door to door and we do love on the people. So if y'all want to reach out or have any other questions concerning even the candidacy, just reach out. The website is ericlovemichigan.com.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Knight, and Ms. Anthony, and Ms. Pudgy, Ms. Maya Anthony, but, can you please repeat the question?
Sure, absolutely. In getting to know our candidates, some folks who either live or work around the M10 district would say that they've never met nor heard of some of you. No business visits, no door knocks. Some may be watching this right now wondering who you are. How do you convince a voter, resident, business owner that you deserve their vote when they have not heard from you until it's time to vote?
Thank you for that. Well, I am Crystal Bailey and I am available. I am accountable and I am ready to serve. My number is 313-424-0813. You can call me directly. You can contact me on my website, www.wevotecrystalbailey.com. Myself and my team have been working nonstop to introduce myself to voters and the entire District 5. We have had fundraisers, meet the candidate forums, we have knocked doors, we have attended cleanups, the San Bernardo walks. We have participated in community forums, community forums as well as community events along 6 Mile, and we are really working hard even in Bagnell community and all the communities within District 5. We have definitely been working tirelessly to make sure that I am in front of the voters, and we will continue. And again, I am available, I am accessible, dedicated, knowledgeable, and ready to serve with members of District 5.
Thank you, Ms. Bailey. I will be calling upon candidates for this next question. Mr. Love, what skill sets do you have that will make you our ideal Michigan House of Representative for Detroit District 5?
Well, my skill set is, main thing is I'm a people's person. I love to be among the people, and I listen to the people. I give the people what they need, not just what they want, but what they really need. And what they need now is mental health facilities. They need gun control. I just had 5 relatives within this year passed away by the hand, by a gun. Not saying they was in any type of organizations. Some of them passed away just by random drive-bys, and just being out at the wrong time. So if that's to, answer your questions, I have my skill is really listening to the people and giving them what they want.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Bailey, same question towards you.
Sorry, can you repeat the question?
What skill sets do you have that will make you our ideal Michigan House of Representative for Detroit District 5?
Well, I have the skills to serve. Community involvement. I have been involved in a community. I served on the Oak Park School Board as vice president of the school district. Like I said, I created a comprehensive strategic plan for the entire district, which is in place today. I have a almost 20-year background experience of being an entrepreneur, producing fashion shows for independent designers. My company is Walk Fashion Show. We've been a successful company for nearly 20 years, and we've been traveling in over 27 cities in 3 countries. I own a nonprofit where we train models and other creatives to sew, do makeup, teach them the business side of their talents. I bring innovative ideas and fiscal responsibility, and I do the same with our taxpayers' dollars. I currently sit on a behavioral health advisory council for the state of Michigan, and I see the budget, so I know how the money should flow, as well as when you dial 988, I'm experienced with creating a Michigan crisis system model to do the flow of when someone dials 988. What's the next steps? How do we identify crisis? what is crisis to you, you know, and I have been working continuously within my community and even within the entire state of Michigan. Those are my skill sets, and they continue to grow every day as I am in the community, knocking doors, listening to what it is.
That's time.
Thank you.
You, Mr. Keys.
Thank you for that question. The first answer I can think of is I'm authentic. I'm not trying to put a certain face on in front of y'all to try to pretend that I'm something that I'm not. I'm coming to you as an everyday person, the person that you actually genuinely need to represent you. At the end of the day, everyone's not politicians. Everyone, you know, and I like to tell people that I'm not, you know, a politician. I am Kevin Keys, who so happened to be a politician that has a degree and studied political science. The thing about it is, one thing about me, I'm not being paid by any, you know, big companies or anything to make any laws and policies. So all of the policy that is coming from me is coming to help our people, not to sit there and serve anyone else. The thing about it is, I'm here to serve the people that vote for me, not these big companies. So one thing about me is I'm standing out because, one, I'm not running several different campaigns, you know, to try to get a seat, rather than I'm actually genuinely trying to run because this is something that needs to be done. I'm here to be the voice for the people. I'm an activist. I've been on the front lines of protests. I've been on the front lines to be the advocate for the youth, adults, everything. So the thing about it is, one thing that helped me stand out is the fact that I'm not trying to be like anybody else. I'm myself, and I just hope that my voters see that and see that I have the best interests at heart. That's my time.
Thank you. Ms. Weiss.
Thank you. Yes, so the skills that I have in order to be able to do this job, I'm already demonstrating because I have been doing this job now for the past 3.5 years. And I will say that experience in this position is really critical because you spend just the first term learning your job, and then you spend your second term really getting really good at your job. And I'd like to spend my third term really rocking and rolling and moving a lot of legislation across the finish line. There are 3 main components of this job. One is the legislative piece, passing good, important legislation that we need to get done. I was the lead sponsor on Michigan's repeal of the so-called right to work law, which was anti-labor, anti-union legislation. I also spearheaded restoring collective bargaining rights for teachers and other school employees, and have gotten a lot of other really pro-worker legislation across the finish line, which was not easy to get done. And I did that through the relationships that I've built through this position. Another key important part of this job is the budget and passing a good budget. I serve on appropriations. I chair a K-12 budget on appropriations, and I have really championed and pushed for equity in our school budget. And through my leadership, we have passed record funding in education in the state, including record funding for communities that need it the most, including the city of Detroit. I will never stop fighting for that because that is my deepest values. It is why I ran for this position to begin with. And I also, the other part of this job that's critical is constituent services. I will always pick up the phone and be there for constituents who need help, who need support. We try to make sure that everyone
That's
who calls our
time.
office. Thank you.
Thank you. We have newly established wonderful businesses right here in our neighborhood, community-oriented, ready to thrive, but there's still crime in our neighborhoods. And we don't want these businesses to pack up and leave. Speaking of policies, what is a policy that you support and are working on to protect? Now, you don't have to be elected to have something in sight and to actually work towards implementing policies to protect and ensure safety for these businesses that want to stick around in neighborhoods like ours. Ms. Bailey.
You said what particular policies that I like? I'm sorry.
Yes, what is a policy that you support and are working on to protect and ensure safety for businesses that want to stick around in neighborhoods like ours, that are established, community-oriented and ready to thrive, because we don't want them to pack up and leave?
You know, I like to just bring it back to my points of interest on my literature, which is the issues that I'm fighting for, which is mental health eradication of gun violence. And to combat crime, that's just it. The fact that the Department of Health and Human Services has a budget of $37.7 billion and allocates 1% to state mental health psychiatric services, that if we allocate those funds from the Department of Health and Human Services, just that 1% to prevention, we could create policies that would help with crime. Same thing with the eradication of gun violence. If we create laws that hold gun manufacturers accountable for how accessible these guns are and how easily that they are to use, these guns that are automatic handguns should not be in our community. The fact that there's a cheap apparatus that you can put on a Glock and make a handgun, a semi-automatic, right? A handgun there's no need for it in our community. So we could combat the crime with just eradication of the guns, as well as creating laws to hold the gun matter accountable and reallocating these funds for mental health services to get those who are off the street who need help and get them rehabilitation, rather than choosing to place these people who need help in predicaments where they are in handcuffs. Thank you.
It's time, Ms. Miller.
Thank you, Mr. Keys.
Okay, so first, thank you for this question. Second of all, we have to make sure that we put out there that, to start off, the war on crime is not a war on Black people. Okay, that's one thing that we need to emphasize. Okay. Second of all, I am interested in creating a policy to combat this thing, but we got to understand where this thing starts. And it starts at the youth level. So when we look at our children, we see that we have taken a lot of the mentor programs out of the districts. We have taken, youth programs and youth initiatives out, and it seems as if we are starting to give up on our youth. So one thing that we actually need to do is we need to start off by actually creating these youth programs and bringing them back and actually giving them the right paths. I'd rather people shoot baskets than shoot guns. And that's one thing that we need to start pushing, is actually people starting to do these extracurriculars and these after school activities instead of going down the wrong path. That's number one. That youth program is big. Second of all, we got to make sure that we put more money, again, in the education system. A lot of things root back into education. When I sat down and I talked to the people in the community, I talked to my campaign team, we all come together and we say, well, the common problem is the lack of education on a lot of things. So yes, I get that there are a lot of people that say, oh, I'm ready to go. But we got to slow down. We got to see, one, how can we be of support? One, joining the Green Light program with Detroit. A lot of people have seen a decrease in crime at Green Light gas stations. So we need to make sure that these businesses are implementing in the programs that we already have, which is, again, educating our people and our business owners of the things, that the resources that they already have in place. Then we can make sure that, one, again, that education system, and then we also create a policy, again, to make sure.
Time.
All right.
Thank you. Mrs. Weiss.
Thank you. I think there are several things that could be done to address this, and I appreciate the previous candidate's focus on a lot of the preventative measures, which are critical and important to addressing crime and often are ignored when we talk about issues of crime and poverty. But these are symptoms of larger problems, and if we want to truly root out a lot of the root causes of why there are areas that have higher concentrations of crime, we also have to address the root causes of these higher concentrations of poverty. So yes, absolutely, investments in mental health, absolutely investments in education are critical for that. I also wanted to point out that we have allocated in Michigan support for community violence intervention, which is a specific strategy that is geared towards areas that have higher concentrations of gun violence to try to prevent crime, those sorts of crimes, before they happen to begin with. And I'm very supportive of those policies, and we have pushed for additional funding for those policies. Also, another piece that we are working on is the Public Safety Trust Fund. That would allocate dedicated dollars for the purposes of public safety. Those dollars could be used for increased training for officers and intervention strategies, can be used for particularly in interacting in situations where there are mental health needs that need to be addressed, and also can help support increasing pay, which has been a large issue in keeping people in these positions and attracting high quality candidates for public safety positions.
That's time.
Thank you.
Thank you, and Mr. Love.
Policies I I would consider working to is addressing gun violence, just like everyone else. I got 3 points. I would allow law enforcement to temporarily confiscate guns from individuals deemed to be a risk to themselves and others. Also, I believe we need to ban assault weapons like the AKs and all of them. Them are military weapons that should not be on the streets. Also, I believe that we should do more research, provide fundings for research into the cases, like the causes, and then also the prevention of gun violence. So that's all I have to say, really. The main thing is gun violence in that area, I would say. And then like Key said, partner up with the green, the program in Detroit, the green light. So
All right, thank you. This is another open question, and we're looking for a response from everyone. However, feel free to jump in as you have an answer. Bottom line, what qualifies you more than your opponents to be our state representative?
I can answer that. I'm Crystal Bailey. I am homegrown. I am from Detroit. I was raised in Detroit. I was raised in Oak Park. I graduate. I know the district. I was very involved with the redistricting. I even been to public forums where I made public comment about the Motor City map. I even informed the couple candidates on here about the new boundaries of the District 5. Not only am I from here, not only does my roots run deep here, but I understand the people, I understand their issues, and I believe in representation. And as the only Black woman on the ballot, I am willing, capable, able to serve. I'm dedicated, experienced, and knowledgeable. I understand the issues of my community. I love this community. I feel like I hand drawn this district just for me. So I am Crystal Bailey, and I'm very proud to represent the members, the community, the constituents of District 5. And I have listened since I filed for this position to be a candidate. I have listened to the residents, and I hear you, and I understand your needs and your wants, and I'm willing and able to serve the community of District 5 as Crystal Bailey. Thank you.
Muted, jump in. 3
All
more.
right, so I will say, first things first, this is not my seat. This is your seat. It's the voter seat. That's the one, that's what I'm speaking for. Thing that separates me is I actually have different experiences across the entire country. I've worked as in operations for a global nonprofit organization. I was a regional vice director for a global nonprofit organization called Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So I've seen that money flow. I've seen the whole managing a budget. I've seen the whole actual cross state lines, actually trying to create different things and programs and stuff like that to actually help our community. I've been to DC several times to talk to Congress and actually talk about the things that our people genuinely need. So I'm not just a talk. A lot of people say, oh, well, you haven't been available, things like that. I've been available, but I've been available doing the things that need to be done for the community. If I had all the time to just stand in y'all face and just pretend that I'm doing the work, then I mean that something's really not getting done behind the scenes. Always remember that. As voters, always remember that. I'm here to serve y'all. I'm here to help the youth. I'm here to help the adults. I'm here to help the senior citizens. I'm here to help everybody. I'm a people's person. I care about everybody. And one thing about me is I'm not afraid to be honest, and I'm not afraid to be open and transparent. And that's what politicians have lost sight of lately. And that's what we need to get back to, is actually transparency. So I'm that candidate for you.
I would say that I'm not your average politician. I wouldn't, like Key said earlier, we're really not politicians. I am a faith leader. And I'm tired of seeing the same old politicians getting elected, and ain't doing nothing. Only thing that is happening is their pockets is getting full. And then some people is running so their pocket can get full. I don't need to do this for no money. I'm good. I'm straight. I'm not like y'all might catch me sometimes not talking the way y'all want someone to talk as a politician. I love the people. Me and my wife, we done gave out money. I've been in the streets protesting. I've been with New Era of Detroit. Ask them. People haven't heard about me, ask certain organizations about me. They be like, yeah, we know that pastor. He's down for his people for real. I'm very authentic. You can't make it up. I've been in the people's seats. I've been at my lowest. Me and my wife, we've been at our lowest. We was homeless together. We ain't have no meals together. Now I can say, thanks to God, things is back in order. We can pay our bills. I function a church, which is also a nonprofit. I have 3 kids, so I'm not just doing it just to do it. I'm also doing this for my kids.
Thank you. That's time.
Change.
Thank you. Yes, I am the best candidate for this seat because I am already serving this community and have been serving these communities for a long time. It's true that San Bernardo Park is new to me in this newly drawn district, but the majority of the current district I have either currently represented or I have previously represented in a former drawing of the map. I care deeply about this community. I care deeply about Detroit. I care deeply about Oak Park. I care deeply about Royal Oak Township and have done everything in my power in the time that I have served to make sure that I'm meeting the needs of everyone in my community as they have approached me for it. I can also say that there is no one who will work harder for you than I will in this seat, because I am working as hard as I possibly can every day, day in and day out, to make sure that I am delivering for this district, that I am delivering for my residents, that I am delivering for folks in the community so that they can have what they need to be successful. I spent all day today negotiating our school aid budget, and as soon as we're done with this forum, I'm getting back into negotiations and we'll probably be negotiating past midnight so that I can make sure that I am delivering as much as possible back for schools and for children in this state. And I will never stop working harder. I will never back down. I will continue to build relationships. I will continue to work with everyone in order to make sure that I am meeting the needs of this community, of this entire district, and of the state.
That's time.
Mr. Love, you kind of opened up something that I was planning to transition into.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
since you brought it up, and this is for everyone, but I'd like you to open the conversation. What are your views? What are your views on money in politics, and how are you funding your campaign?
Give me 1 second. I am funding my campaign off of my personal fundings, me working. We good? Just making sure. That's how I'm funding. I believe personally, some people might not like this. I believe that y'all people shouldn't be making 6 figures, becoming millionaires by serving their communities. The preachers, a lot of us, we have 2 to 3 jobs. You get what I'm saying? I don't think if you're doing it for your community for real, I think, hey, you're gonna do it for your community. If you want to speak for your community, you're gonna do it with love, and you might not get paid for it. And I don't think politicians should, get a big check for what they do personally. That's just my opinion.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to our next candidate, Mrs. Weiss.
Yes, thank
Same.
you. Thank you. Yes, so the first part of the question, I believe that we need more transparency in our campaign finance system and more transparency in our state government in general. And I have fully supported the proposal to require and helped campaign for the ballot initiative that we voted on in 2022 to require personal financial disclosure, because I think that is important for folks to know when they are making decisions on who they want to elect. And I also support going beyond that and expanding FOIA requirements for the state legislature and also the governor, attorney general, secretary of state, so that if there are issues, you can request that information. I could be FOIA'd as a teacher, I could be FOIA'd as a council member, but I can't be FOIA'd as state rep, and that is insane to me. I also support expanding requirements, restricting basically getting money out of politics. I fully support moving towards a publicly funded campaign finance system so that we can have a more equitable system for how we raise money. Currently, I raise money from all of the relationships that I've built. I spend a lot of time calling folks who I know, asking for their support so that I can have the resources necessary to make sure that I can get my information out and get out to as many voters as possible.
Candidate Bailey.
Thank you for the opportunity to answer the question. I believe that elected officials need to be fiscally responsible and held accountable. And I am raising funds for my campaign through donations and meet and greets and having house parties at residents' homes is how I'm gaining donations for this candidacy. But being fiscally responsible is very important, which I plan to be once elected.
Thank you, Candidate Keys.
All right. Well, I'm a teacher, and I am providing all this really off of a teacher salary. I have the ideology that I don't believe that we should be taking money from these big old companies, or we're basically selling ourselves to get these big old special endorsements and not really using our morals and what we believe in to actually reflect in our politics and our campaigns. So one thing about it is a lot of the stuff that you see has been done by me. I also have a digital marketing certification from Barbara's Kosher College in North Carolina, a private HBCU. The thing about it is I do all of my graphics. I do all of my my campaign websites, everything. It's just based off of everything that I was taught growing up. I was able to apply it, to my actual campaign, and has made it look very, very good. All graphics, as you see, flyers, any type of yard signs, pins, everything was done by me. So I'm not spending a lot of money. Again, I don't want money to drive my campaign. I want the people to drive my campaign, and me being authentic to my voters and my voters seeing that and saying, that's the candidate for me.
I'm going to, and thank you, shift our conversation. I have one more question, however. I want to know, we talked about different policies and ideas about what we want to do in our communities that we are potentially going to serve. One specific policy that you will fight to address in your first 6 months in office. The floor is open. Give us one.
The first policy that I would like to implement is based off the education system. Again, as an educator, I see I see the disproportionate funding that goes into these schools. For example, I'm a product of the Oak Park School District, and I'm a staff member of the Oak Park School District, and they're not getting the same money as a school that's 5 minutes away from them, like Berkeley, or going to Birmingham Seaholm, or things of that nature. And that's really because of, one, the state standardized testing, and then two, is the fact that we seem like we invest in other races more than we invest in those communities that are predominantly Black. So I want to continue to actually get rid of that divide and actually give equal opportunities and give extra resources to everybody, not just one type of group or one group of people.
The floor remains open.
I'll hop in here, just to address that too, because education is critically important. And for me, it's not about equal, it's about equitable. And again, we have been taking strides to get to making sure that we are fully funding and equitably funding our schools. There is still a lot to be done. Something that I'm fighting for right now in this moment to get done in this budget is funding to do a study in order to identify revenue sources so that we can get to full funding. We underfund our schools by $4.5 billion every year. $4.5 billion every year. And even though we've been able to make record increases, we are still underfunding our schools by $4.5 billion with a B every single year. And so I am working with the governor's office, working with the Senate to establish a study that will identify new sources of revenue specifically for education. I'm also pushing right now to free up newly found money that is now freed now that we've fully funded our teacher retirement for the healthcare portion. I want to make sure that that money goes back to our educators who have been paying into that system, and then it goes back into our school districts so that they use it to hire more teachers, retain teachers, increase salary, and improve educational outcomes for our kids. So I don't know, I guess it's not technically my first 6 months. I'm trying to get it done now, but if we can't get it done in this budget, it's still going to continue to be my priority in the upcoming year.
I'm gonna be sweet and simple with it. Workers' rights, minimum wage. Once again, everybody getting in office doing a whole lot of nothing. Inflation has went up. People, like I said, working 2 to 3 jobs. That's not fair, especially the elderly. Some of them got to go back to work. I would say, we need to raise the minimum wage, like I said earlier, to reflect the true living costs, Other states, they are way, way far ahead. And I would say we need at least 20. That's just my opinion. But if y'all elect the right people, maybe y'all will get it. If y'all elect the wrong, maybe y'all won't. We won't. We as a whole. So, that's my push on things.
Thank you. Moving into some submitted questions from our viewers.
I don't get a
I'm
chance.
going to try to get to a couple of them. We will be closing out.
Sorry, Crystal and I had a chance to answer that question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Excuse me. And I didn't see your hand. I'm looking somewhere else. Thank you so much for that. My apologies.
Yes, thank you as well. I want to answer that question about my first 60 days. I mean, that's a really big question. And, I'm currently working on it as well and working with other legislators to help introduce something within that first 60 days, which of course you can't educate, you can't do anything, you can't do anything without mental health. And that's where it starts. Before we can educate a child, we need to focus on their mental health, which as a former vice president of the Oak Park School Board, you can't educate a child without addressing the whole child, which is social economical situations, their home life, their mental health. The moment they walk into a classroom or walk into the building, you need to address the whole child. So of course, the reallocation of mental health within the Department of Health and Human Services. I will work to reallocate those funds, first address and see how we are using that 1% in mental health. And then after I see how we're using that 1% in mental health, make sure it's preventative, because we have this recently, the splash pad shooting. And it's after the fact when they say, oh, well, we have mental health services for anyone who's affected. We need to use those mental health services in a preventative measure where we can help in advance. And that's what I would work towards. Before we can educate a child, before we can give them resources, we need to adhere to their mental health before anything else. And that is what I'm gearing towards working on within my first 60 days in office. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that. And again, my apologies. I certainly did not mean to exclude you in that question. Moving on to our audience questions. Shifting the subject just for a moment. And again, this remains an open floor conversation. How do you all feel about Roe versus Wade?
I was proud to help volunteer back in 2022 to collect signatures for Michigan's Reproductive Freedom for All ballot initiative. I believe that regardless of personal and religious beliefs on abortion, and I understand them entirely. I was raised Catholic. This issue is deeply important to my mother, and I understand people who have those concerns. But I also know that individual rights to bodily autonomy are deeply important and critical that we protect in this country. And I was proud to help collect signatures to help get reproductive freedom for all on the ballot, help get it passed. And I'm also proud that I was part of the implementation of that law in Michigan when we codified Michigan's draconian 1931, eliminating Michigan's draconian 1931 abortion ban that would have, if Roe versus Wade, if the Supreme Court made it so that they eliminated all of states' abilities in order to have protections for reproductive freedom, having that law off the books made sure that we have will have protections for folks in cases of extreme cases of rape and incest, which were not even excluded in that awful 1931 law. And so I was proud to eliminate that. I was also the lead sponsor on providing Medicaid dollars for reproductive health services, including abortion services. Unfortunately, we weren't able to get the total
It's
number
time.
needed for that. And I'm still working on it, and I hope to get it across the finish line.
Next candidate, please. Floor is open.
So when I hosted the Campus Rundown, which was a show with historically Black Sense, I said this before and I'm gonna say it again. Me, as a male, as a politician, as anybody, does not have a right to tell a woman what to do with her body. There should be no laws that should be regulated that tells a woman if she can or cannot terminate a pregnancy. At the end of the day, like we said, there should be some, things that like, what about the women that were, beaten, raped, and things of that nature? Why are we not actually like allowing them to get abortions and things of that nature? So when I tell you, like, I'm completely pro-choice. Okay, you have every right to choose what to do with your body. I'm leaving it at that.
My side of it, I do stand with women getting abortions. I come from a family of females, and it's their body and their choice. I got nothing. I got 4 sisters. I got 14 nieces. I'm the only one that got a boy in the family. So, it's the woman choice. I was actually endorsed by Planned Parenthood as well. So, like, it's the woman choice.
And I'll conclude with I'm pro-choice, and I have worked with Mothering Justice to advocate for Roe v. Wade, and as well as getting petitions signed, being involved, and pushing the narrative of pro-choice. And that's what I believe.
Did I get everyone? No, I'm just kidding. Thank you all for that. I will try to squeeze one more question in here. We're talking about healthcare, talking about mental health care, and we know we love my sensitive spot, our children, animals, and seniors. Okay, what in any of these, directions, what are your views on healthcare costs, but also keeping Medicare for our seniors. These programs seem to be losing some of the funding. The policies are changing, and others are coming in and trying to rewrite bills and policies that affect these areas. What are your thoughts on that, and how are you going to correct some wrong that you see being done? Open floor.
I'll start by saying I completely support protecting, preserving, and expanding our Medicare dollars. Those are critical, and also our Medicaid dollars. Those are critical dollars that are essential to provide essential services for folks in the state who really need it, our seniors and folks who can't afford healthcare otherwise. We need to make sure that we are preserving those dollars and advocating to our federal partners to increase appropriations for those dollars as well. I also am supportive of creating a universal or single payer option system, Medicare for all system in the state of Michigan, which several other states have done. We have a 56 member majority in the state house right now. We need 56 votes to pass anything in the state house. And so that will require a few more of my colleagues to get on board with that plan. But I am continuing to advocate and push for it because I know it is the right thing to do. We need to make sure that everyone in the state has access to critical healthcare, critical mental health care services. I also have pushed for in the school aid budget last year over $100 million for student mental health services through our school aid budget as well, which is critical in meeting the needs of all of our K-12 students.
I support medical. And again, as I sit on a behavioral health advisory council for the state of Michigan, and I am a part of the group for the Michigan crisis system model, we are working with Blue Cross Blue Shield every day to figure out what codes that can be used that can encompass all of the mental health or any crisis, once you call 988, that we're working on the codes that can encompass those services, making sure that it is fitting into the scale of making sure that those services are paid for through the crisis system model. And healthcare is very important, as we all need. I was at a meeting yesterday, and catastrophic insurance, she went to a whole I won't venture off, but Medicare for all is important. We need coverage, we need healthcare, and as well as mental health care. So, thank you.
All right.
Oh, okay. Go ahead.
So you good? Good? Okay.
Yeah, we good.
So one thing is addressing healthcare disparities involve advocating for expanded access to affordable and quality healthcare for all residents. One thing that I would do is I would work to increase funding for community health centers, promote preventative care, and address social determinants of health that contribute to disparities. I would also advocate for mental health services and support programs that provide comprehensive care to underserved populations. And by working with healthcare providers, community organizations, and policymakers, I would strive to create a more equitable healthcare system that meets the needs of our community. When we look into the mental health services and things of that nature, I want to dig into our youth mental health. Being a teacher, especially at the elementary level, I have noticed and I've seen, and my next degree is actually a doctorate in behavioral health. I've seen one thing about these kids is it's a lot of trauma at a young age that we don't get to talk about and we don't get to really reach and tap into. And that's the reason why a lot of these kids grow up to being emotionally damaged and things of that nature. So one thing that we actually genuinely need to do is actually put more money into our children developmental resources, like adding more psychologists in the school and adding more social workers and putting more money into their SEL programs and things of that nature, and to tap into those IEPs and actually have resources to tame those IEPs and things of that nature, rather than to constantly keep ignoring the whole mental health aspects of school and how we need social awareness in order to be successful in the community and in the world as well. That's my time.
Kevin, that's your time. Perfect.
I personally believe healthcare is a fundamental human right, and everyone do deserve, access to healthcare. If you look at other countries, like Canada, the European countries. They run off a universal system where, you know, everyone, don't matter the gender, the race, whatever, they all receive healthcare. And I believe that we should also get on board with it, with the universal system when it comes to healthcare.
All right. Thank you. We could certainly keep going, and there are other questions that I could not get to. Thank you to those who submitted your questions ahead of time. Those who didn't, we hope that we can have another forum and everybody can be present and ask us, make sure you submit your questions ahead of time so that we can get to some things that you may personally want to know about our candidates. We are going to shift our conversation over to closing remarks. We will begin with closing remarks from candidate Regina Weiss.
Thank you. And thank you, first of all, so much for organizing this and for having me. It's wonderful to see the community engaged in this way. I just want to reiterate, you have a lot of great choices here in front of you today. And I am proud to be able to run to represent this community and to represent the entire House District 5. I will just reiterate that the thing that is the most important aspect for why you should consider choosing me as this candidate, as your candidate for House District 5, is because I have been doing this work and I work alongside amazing leaders in our state legislature, including our Speaker Joe Tate. I serve on his leadership team. I help make sure that we are making critical decisions in order to advance important policy needs in the state, to improve healthcare, to improve public safety, to decrease gun violence, to address educational needs, and many of the critical issues that we've talked about tonight. I have been doing this job and I want to continue to do this job. I want to continue to fight and continue to fight for this district. Right now, I'm helping organize.
That's your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. We to candidate Eric Love. I was given another order, so forgive us for these slides.
Okay. My closing remarks are choose wisely. Pick, take your time out picking your candidates. Research. Please do your homework on everybody, even myself. Go in details with it. I mean, if it got to be, something you do for the entire month of July, I would advise everyone to please do their homework and research each of us, and also go with your heart. That's all I could say. I'm not going to tell y'all to vote for me. I'm gonna just tell y'all go with your heart. Bless y'all.
Thank you, Mr. Love. Next, we will hear a closing statement from candidate Kevin Keys.
All right. So again, first of all, thank you for having me here. I enjoy sitting down and just speaking to everyday people. That's one thing that I enjoy. I would not sit here and throw titles in front of y'all and make y'all feel that I'm important, because I can tell y'all everything that I accomplished. But I want y'all to remember this quote. When I talk to a manager, I feel as if he's important. But when I talk to a leader, I feel as if I'm important. Y'all are the biggest topic here. I'm not going to sit here and pretend, oh, I do this, just to get y'all to believe that I'm the right candidate. I want y'all to know that I'm the right candidate. So please visit my website that's on the screen. Reach out, call me, email me, ask me any question. I'm open book. I enjoy being here, and I'm always a resource. And if you ever would like for me to come talk to y'all or speak to a group, I would always be available for y'all. I am here to serve y'all. Thank y'all again, and I truly appreciate this time and hope to see all of y'all soon.
Thank you, candidate Keys. We will hear from our final candidate, Miss Crystal Bailey.
Thank you. My closing remarks: representation. It matters. This district is a unique district that encompasses 75% Black voting age population. And I am here to serve. I am Crystal Bailey, your candidate for state representative for District 5. I care about mental health, eradication of gun violence, of course, high healthcare costs, high property tax. I'm interested in other things that we did not get the opportunity to talk about today, but reparations is important to me. Emergency manager law repeal is important to me. Our insurance costs, auto insurance costs is important to me. And that filing use system definitely needs to be, we have to be held accountable with these insurance companies on our auto insurance. And I'm Crystal Bailey. I know this district. I was born and raised in this district. I love the members of the community in this district. And this community is a community that I would love to have the opportunity to serve. And unlike my other.
That's time.
Please choose Crystal
Thank
Bailey.
you. Thank you so much. And as my first time moderating this particular event, it has been an honor to serve. I would like to turn the meeting over to our treasurer, Mr. Alvin Alston, for final closing remarks. Thank you all again for having me. I hope you enjoyed the forum.
Thank you, Maya. Excellent job. Excellent job. For coming up with the questions, working with the clients, with the candidates, and I'd like to thank all of you who attended this session. I can tell you one thing, I'm more enlightened. I had an opportunity to meet some of you during our walks, and I talked to you. I feel that I'm getting to know you. I'd like to get to know you more or better. I'd like to encourage you to come back and speak with us again. I'd like to thank Kim Tandy and her supportive staff for all the work that they've done to make sure that this ain't took place without any hiccups right there. As this was my first time hosting a meeting, I realized this tremendous amount of work that our president does, but I consider it an honor to be able to step in for her while she's taking this noteworthy vacation. Before I leave and close, I wouldn't be the treasurer if I didn't encourage you to pay your dues if you haven't paid your dues. If you know someone who hasn't paid their dues and they want to know what we do, please, you had an opportunity to hear some of the things that we've done. You had an opportunity to participate in this political forum. Go out there and spread the word within the community, because it takes teamwork to make the dream work, and that's what we're working on today. So thank you so much for attending the meeting, and unless there are any other comments or that anyone would like to make, I think we can end this meeting until the next session we have.
Thank you so much. Don't forget to vote.
Thank you. Have a good night.
Take care, everyone.
Bye, everyone.